The voice that knew my name, a whisper in the dark that turned into a nightmare I couldn't escape. Posted by you/whispering in the dark. I've always been the kind of person who likes being alone. My apartment is small, tucked away in an old building on the top floor, but it's mine. I've lived here for years, and I've gotten used to the silence. Most of the time, I find it comforting. But last night, something happened that I can't explain. Something that's made me question everything. It started around 2 a.m. I had just finished watching a true crime documentary on Netflix. My eyes were tired, and I was scrolling through Reddit, trying to relax. The apartment was eerily still, no sounds, no passing cars outside, nothing. Just silence. I was reading a post on r/nosleep when I heard it. A whisper. It was faint at first, like the sound of wind rustling through the trees. But there was no wind. My windows were shut tight, and I lived on the top floor, away from any trees. Emma. I froze. My blood ran cold. I thought maybe I was hearing things, that it was some weird echo or the TV playing a trick on me. But then it came again, this time louder, closer. Emma. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I couldn't. My body was frozen in place, like my mind was trying to convince itself that this wasn't real. But deep down, I knew it was. Someone was in the apartment with me. I shot up from the bed and scanned the room, my eyes darting to every corner. Nothing. The door was locked. The windows shut. My apartment was empty. I tried to calm myself, telling myself it was just a trick of the mind. A side effect of too much true crime late at night. But then my phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. Don't be scared. I'm right behind you. I almost dropped my phone. My heart was pounding, my hands shaking as I stared at the screen. I immediately checked the door, still locked. The windows, still locked. The entire apartment was still. But the air felt heavy. Too heavy. I told myself to breathe, to think logically. But then, I heard it again. This time, it wasn't a whisper. It was a voice, deep, raspy, almost gurgling as if the words had been dragged out of someone who had been choking. Emma. I'm closer now. I couldn't move. My body felt like stone, every muscle in my limbs tense, frozen in terror. My heart was beating so fast, it felt like it was going to explode. I tried to reach for my phone again, my hands trembling, but before I could even unlock it, I heard a noise. A thud. From inside the apartment. It was faint at first, but it grew louder, closer. Thud. 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 Like something, or someone, was moving through the apartment, step by slow, deliberate step. I rushed to my bedroom door, but I couldn't bring myself to open it. I was too scared to look. I didn't want to see what was on the other side. My phone buzzed again. I'm in the room with you. I stumbled back from the door, my breath coming in short gasps. Panic flooded my mind. I grabbed my phone, fingers slipping as I typed a response. Who are you? What do you want? The reply came almost instantly. You know who I am. I've always been watching you. I felt like I was suffocating. The walls felt like they were closing in. The silence had shifted, and I could swear I felt something watching me from the dark corners of my apartment. I didn't know what to do. Should I leave? Should I call the cops? I couldn't think clearly. The words on my screen blurred as I stared at them, unable to look away. Then came another message. This one made my blood run cold. You're not alone. I bolted to the front door, adrenaline flooding my system. I yanked it open, hoping to escape whatever was in there with me. But as I looked at the door handle, my stomach dropped. The door was locked from the outside. I never locked it. I never lock it. I hadn't been outside. No one had been in my apartment. And yet, the door was locked from the outside. I rushed to the peephole, pressing my eye against it, but there was nothing. No movement in the hallway, no shadow passing by. Just the cold, empty silence. But it didn't feel empty. Not anymore. I could feel it now. Someone, something, was close. I could hear my breath echoing in my ears as I backed away from the door, my legs shaking beneath me. The silence in the apartment had turned suffocating, like it was pressing in from every side. Then, A slow, deliberate knock. 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 I froze again. This wasn't a normal knock. It wasn't coming from the hallway. It came from behind me. From inside the apartment. I spun around, my pulse pounding in my throat. I didn't want to turn around, but I couldn't stop myself. Slowly, my eyes moved toward the living room. There, in the corner of the room, in the dark shadows, was a figure. A man, his face pale, eyes wide open, staring directly at me. I could barely make him out, his features distorted by the darkness. But I saw enough. His eyes were normal. They were empty. Hollow. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. He tilted his head slowly, and his lips stretched into a twisted grin. "Emma," he whispered, his voice so close I could feel the words brushing against my skin. "I've always been here." The last thing I remember is running toward the door, but the moment I touched the handle, everything went black. Dr. I live alone. One night, I heard my name whispered. The voice knew where I was. My door was locked from the outside. I wasn't alone. Someone, or something, had been watching me.